Hello and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Cleavage. Today I thought I'd make something in my slow cooker, so I found this really good, seems like it's going to be a good recipe for beef ragu with pappardelle pasta, but I couldn't find pappardelle, so I'm going to use tagliatelle, which is more like a fettuccine, a fresh pasta. So I think that's going to be really good. It asked for about a pound and a half of flank steak. I got 1.7 pounds, and it says to cut them in quarters. It says to take 6 cloves of garlic and lightly smash them, which I do when I'm getting the peeling off of the garlic anyway. And then that's what you start with. You take some olive oil, just a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. This pan is on a medium high. I'm gonna put a couple of tablespoons and let that get hot, right? Let that get hot. The oil. I think the oil looks like it's hot. And then you just put the garlic in there. I'm not usually cooking garlic by itself. I usually start with like some onions or something so that it has moisture, because garlic doesn't have that much moisture. But it says to keep stirring it for a couple of minutes so that it just gets browned. And while that's cooking, that's going to be 1 to 2 minutes. So I'm going to stir it in a little while. But it also says to season the pieces of meat and put it in the slow cooker. So I turned the slow cooker on to high because I watched the Saints game today and I don't have time to cook it on real slow. So I'm hoping it's going to cook in this amount of time. And I took some salt, I added cayenne pepper, and I added a little bit of white pepper. All right. So I'm going to it says to season. So I'm going to season like this over that. So all the extra kind of goes in there, right? I'm using kosher salt. That's usually what I use. And then just put that on the bottom there. Uh-oh. I spot a Leslie hair. Make sure you don't cook with your own hair, okay? Because if you see hair, take it out. Good thing I'm not serving in a restaurant. I'd have to throw that whole thing out. Okay, this doesn't want to come apart. Okay, that came apart. Garlic looks like it's cooking really well over there. Not well, like too well, but it's doing a good job. And you can kind of hear it when I put it in there. I don't know if you can hear it with the mic, but it's kind of sizzling when I put it in there. You want to get kind of a little sear on it, I guess. So we're going to see if it does that. And then we'll come back to it. And maybe try to turn it over, right? Okay, so I'm going to take this glove off because I'm done with my meat. Okay, so like that is browning in there, the meat. And I'm coming back to look at the garlic. So it looks like it's taken a little bit longer than... I might get that little brown part out of that garlic right there. Back up. And I want to get my okay. I guess I forgot to get this little part off. And I'm like, what is that little brown piece? Well, you could get that off whenever you want. Put that on the side, right? All I knew what I was doing was smashing the garlic. I'm going to turn it up a little bit because it seems to be taking a little time. Now, the recipe didn't call for the meat to be seared. There is a brown sear selection on that crock pot that I bought. I can't wait to use it for everything it can do. But I'm going to come over here and turn them and see. Oh, see, they are starting to brown, at least like cook a little bit on the outside, right? So we're gonna let that cook a little bit longer. And then we're gonna throw everything else in there. Well, what I'm gonna do right now is put some rosemary in. The recipe called for some fresh thyme, but my herbs did not do very well with all this rain in Southeast Louisiana this year. And I haven't had much time to really give a lot of love to them, I guess, because I've been working so much. So one of my rosemary bushes plants actually died. And they seem like every year really hard to kill, but this year one of them. So rosemary is like the only herb I have left in my garden. So I thought, well, I don't have fresh herb, but let me put some fresh rosemary in there. Even though the recipe didn't call for rosemary, I don't know how it would be bad. And keeping my eye on that garlic over there. And then we can use dried herbs for the rest. And I got some green onions. My green onions did really well in my garden. I'll still have some more out there, so I'm gonna put some of those in there. Some people like to do green onions on the top of their dish, but I don't know. In my family, we always cooked with the green onions. I love slowly cooked green onions. It's so good. And then a few carrots. Because it calls for 1 carrot, but I got these little carrots. I'm just gonna throw a few handfuls of carrots in there because that'll just cook down. And then it also asks for a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. So I'm gonna add that. And it asks for a 1/4 cup of low sodium. I'm just gonna eye it. I think it was about a 1/4 cup or a half, but I think we could use more than that in here. And I'm gonna use the broth to get all the tomato out of the can like that. And that way, see, there's hardly any tomato in there. I'm gonna add a little bit more broth. You know what you could put in here is some red wine. If you have any red wine, that would be good. That would go really well in here. But check on the garlic. Ooh, it's starting to get a little crispy. We don't want it to get crispy. We just want it to get browned, which is why they were telling us to keep our eye on it, right? But I don't think that'll be bad anyway. Oh, that smells so good. Mmm. Mmm. Get rid of that. All right, I think that looks browned enough. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna add this. Oof. Yum. All right, that's off. Make sure that's off. And then I'm gonna add some of these dried herbs. Since I didn't have fresh thyme, I'm gonna add a little bit of this dried thyme. The recipe does call for 2 bay leaves. You can use fresh bay leaves or dried bay leaves. Since that's what I have, that's what I'm gonna use. A couple of bay leaves. And then I thought it'd be fun to add a little Italian seasoning, since, you know, I did add the rosemary, and see how that comes out. But then you just put the cover on. Well, I'm gonna add a little bit more salt and pepper since we're getting ready to cook it. Right? A little more salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna take the top. I don't think you really have to stir it even, huh? I don't know. I didn't grow up with a family. That's not locked, is it? This is unlocked. Oh, okay. And then turn it. Ooh, is that, so it's on, so it's got 3 hours and 50 minutes left. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. will hopefully be cooked by then. It says in the recipe to cook it on high on the slow cooker for 6 hours and on low for about 8 to 10. So I definitely don't have that much time unless I want to eat in the middle of the night or just eat it this week. So I don't know. I didn't grow up with slow roasters, and it wasn't until I moved to France that I even knew about pressure cookers, which this has a pressure cooker thing on it. But I'm going to be experimenting with this in the near future, so y'all might like some of my recipes. So we'll be back in 4 hours. Hey, so we have like 29 minutes on the clock, as you can see there. And I started boiling some water for the pasta. This is tagliatelle, like I told you before. The recipe calls for pappardelle, but I couldn't find any of that. This is fresh pasta, it's called, or homemade pasta. It's soft. It's not like that hard stuff you get in the store, right? And so I have some water boiling on my quick boil, but also, like I learned from an Italian, and I think I talked to y'all about, you have to salt the water like as if it's seawater, right? Because pasta has no seasoning at all in it, and you need salt to bring it alive. And sometimes salt will help water boil. But while that's coming to a boil, I thought I would make some drinks. So I am gonna make a Manhattan. And I'm starting with a shaker of ice. I forgot what I was going to say because I was going to tell you all the story of the Manhattan, but now I can't even remember the story of the Manhattan. I need that whiteboard. I usually have that has all of. Anyway, so I'm gonna. A friend of mine got me this this jigger, and it has 1 ounce on this side and a half an ounce on this side. It's very convenient. So the recipe calls for 2 ounces of the bourbon. That's almost all gone. And then I have another bottle. And that's what happens all the time when you're making drinks. You run out of one bottle and you have to open up another one. But I'm making 2, so I'm gonna do 2 more. Okay, so every 2 ounces of bourbon takes a half of an ounce of sweet vermouth. So I'm making 2 drinks, so I'm gonna add 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. And then I would add 2 dashes of Angostura for every drink. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I would add 1 of Peychaud's for every drink. So that's 1, 2. Then you just want to stir. You use this spoon because it helps to really get the drink cold with the ice and the metal to metal, right? Okay, now the water's boiling. So before I pour those drinks, I'm gonna put the pasta in because it really is not gonna take that long, right? So you just cook it uncovered for a couple minutes. And it's 8:01, so timer 2, start. Oh, there you go, timer. Okay, so we have that going. And then I have the martini glasses in the freezer. See, they've been getting nice and, oops, cold. See, I got some new martini glasses. I'm gonna move this out of the way. Yes, this is gonna be so good. And then And the more you shake it, as I was talking about before, I like to shake it. You get ice on your table, but you also get ice chips in the glass. It's very exciting. And then you just spear a couple of, it's cool, these gold little spears came with these martini glasses I ordered. Thought it was really cute. But I think I want two. I mean, y'all know how much I love this. I think I'm gonna have this one. Cheers. Cheers. Okay. Well, let's see how this pasta's doing. So we want to keep it. Oh, you see how it's bubbling up? Yeah, we don't have that much time before it's done. So I'm going to get a colander. I also learned that if you know, like when I was younger, we used to put olive oil in the boiling water before we added the pasta so that the pasta wouldn't stick together. But if you save some of the water from before you drain the pasta, that's some of the pasta water, and then you drain it all, right? This is all drained, and you put it back in the pot. It helps the pasta not stick because olive oil will make the sauce slip off of the pasta, right? But you also want to keep this cool, so, you know, makes me want to put it on these owls that I have. Then you're supposed to put, yes, I'm so glad we just did one. Then we're supposed to put the ragu in here and cook it for like a minute. We'll do that after. So I was showing you, you know, how earlier I was gonna do just add the pasta water back to it. This is how much it stays unstuck, right? So the recipe calls for a couple of parsley sprigs, and this year with all the rain that we had in East Louisiana, a lot of my herbs died. I know that I wasn't diligent enough and I allowed that to happen. But the only herb I really had was rosemary, so I put rosemary in there earlier. I think that you saw me do that. But I got some parsley flakes, some dried parsley, right? So I thought at the end, since it already buzzed, right? I'm just gonna put a little parsley in there. You want to rub it between your fingers to kind of open it up, right? And you stir that up. I wonder if these carrots are getting ready to open up. Well, I could probably cut one up and get a dish going and then let these carrots stew for a little bit longer because I have some company over who was expecting to have some of this. And I'm going to serve those bowls up. So I broke apart the meat with forks. There's probably a lot more breaking apart I can do, even with the carrots, like breaking those apart, right? But, oh, that's just coming right apart, just like that. So the recipe calls for putting the sauce over. Oh yes, that's why I got the ladle out. Thank you. Thank you, cameraman. Right. Oh, that looks so good. I don't know if we need that much meat. Okay, so I put the pasta back in the pan, added a lot more than what I left you thinking. I added more sauce, more carrots, a little bit more meat, right? Now it's been cooking for a little while, so I'm gonna plate them, right? So I have 3 people eating. So I'm gonna make sure that my pasta is all even first, right? You have 3 people eating. I'm gonna make sure that that you're plating for 3 people. I am going to turn that off. I can hear that cooking. I should probably take that off of the fire. See, that has a little bit of meat, right? So the next plate, that doesn't have that much pasta or that much meat, so you want to give that a little bit more and some meat. And then this, so, oh, it's a little bit more pasta and some carrot. Oh, we definitely need to give that carrot and that a carrot. This is a second for that one. And the second carrot goes to that one. I mean, that's just kind of how it luckily worked out. But you just kind of want to split everything up like this, all right? Okay, now that it looks a little bit even, I can grab my ladle again. And I can add some sauce to each one. That looks so good. And the last thing you want to do to finish these off is some Parmesan. The recipe calls for Parmesan Romano, but let me just tell you right now, nobody's going to say, oh my God, you put Parmesan and not Parmesan Romano in my dish. I'm going to have a heart attack. No, nobody's going to say that. And use what you got, or, you know, do a combination of both. Sometimes you can get a combination of Parmesan Romano. Okay. So this is the final dish, as y'all saw, right? I cut these carrots in half, and they're so tender at that point. They can just, oh my God. And so is the meat, right? And the pasta is cooked perfectly. Oh no, almost lost it. Yum. I don't know how that got on my finger, but I had to finish it. But anyway, that is so good. Oh my goodness. All the flavors penetrate really well together. And the dish has such a moist feel to it. You know, it's got a lot of liquid still in it, like a ragu should. It's very... That is so delicious. It would also be really good with a glass of red wine. I am not going to go there tonight because I already have that Manhattan. Whoa. But y'all do that. Or, you know, the right white wine too. Or a champagne. Who cares? Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Cooking with Cleavage, slow cooker style. I will see y'all soon. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Cleavage. Today, I decided to try to make something in my slow cooker. So I'm going to turn this on to, I don't know how to turn this on. Slow cook, medium cook. Where's the, let's see, start, stop. Well, it's already on. Can you stop it for a second? Help me out. So I have my, now I have, could you hand me a fork right there? No. Okay. Oops. Squatters. Do you see the little pasta dude? That's perfect. That's perfect. Should I do that again? That is perfect.